All right. This is episode 8. Greetings, my friends. Jason Archer here with Scott Porter and Ken Miller for episode 8, Dogs WOD Radio podcast. And obviously, if you're in the CrossFit world, you know that the Opens have begun. 15-1, 15-2 are now in the books, and we are recording this a few hours prior to the release of 15-3. So with that said, we're going to talk a little bit about how 15-1 and 15-2 went, and talk a little bit about progress, and then segue that into peaking and what it's looking like this year over previous years. And so I thought to start off, we'd jump right in with Scott Porter and have him break down 15-1 and 15-2.
Yeah, hey, what's up, guys and girls? Hopefully you guys are having some fun with the Open this year. It's been interesting workout so far. Starting right away with Dave Castro changing it up, throwing in a little twist with 15.1 and 0.1A. So as you know, 15.1 was starts out with a 9-minute AMRAP of 15 toes to bar, and then 10 deadlifts, 115 for the guys, 75 for the ladies, and then 5 snatch with the same barbell. So it was a 9-minute AMRAP, very gymnastic, light barbell oriented, and then that goes straight into a 6-minute piece where you try to establish a 1-rep max clean and jerk. So coming right out of the gun here, shooting the gun right away, and throwing a max event in the Open for the very first time. So it's pretty unique. The players for the live announcement were Rich Froning and Matt Frazier. So you kind of figure like, okay, well, I think he's designing these workouts based on who the matchup is. And I think we all talked about that in the last podcast, which was we recorded it right before the announcement, and we made some predictions, and we were pretty close.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that, but I think we talked about how you have to look at that matchup. Who are the players? What are their strengths? And what do we want to see these athletes showcase their skills? And with Rich and Matt, it was obviously the weightlifting. So you knew there was going to be some kind of clean and jerk. You knew there was going to be, maybe a snatch or one or the other. In this case, it was both, right? And starting with that gymnastics piece and then moving right into a clean and jerk where you're under fatigue. How fast can you recover from that 9 minutes of work? And then, how close you can get to your true maximum. So I think Rich put up 340 something in that workout, and Frazier was just under that, but they both redid it, even though they said they weren't going to.
They said they weren't, right? Famous last words.
No,
we always say that.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Well, I think when you get done with the workout, you're always, I'm not doing that one again. But then maybe a day or two goes by, and you're like, I could have done a little better.
Forget the pain.
I could have gone.
I forgot how much it hurt.
It's like, WOD remorse or something. Or,
yeah, exactly.
Like, then you start thinking, I could push a little bit more, but they probably saw the scores and wanted to one up some other guys. But I mean, it's this workout. I went through it once. The AMRAP, the 9-minute AMRAP. I did it once. I know a lot of people did it twice. And kind of my feelings were, and I played around with it a little bit too before I did it. My feelings were it was an interesting open workout because I felt like for people that were really elite, it probably wasn't one of those workouts where you do it and you're like, fuck, this is intense, this is hard, and I'm not in the best of shape, and I'm not where these regionals, obviously games guys are, but even for me, it was like you went through a few rounds of it and you're like, okay, I'm not like dying for air, I'm not gasping, I don't have that lactate going on where I just like with 15.2, the overhead squats, like, you're hurting bad. You get done with that workout and you're on the ground, you're hurting. But with the AMRAP, it was a little bit different. I mean, I think it was more about continuing the pace and just keep going and not stopping, and who can string together a lot of toes to bars and stay on that barbell. Still good workout, but obviously I'm not a big fan of it because it was too light and it was gymnastics oriented. Which I know there's a place and time for that, but I think everyone was expecting, I guess, something maybe heavier stuff, higher skill stuff for this Open. being that they are reducing the amount of spots going to the next level for regionals. everyone's they're going to get the best of the best, the cream of the crop through, and they start off with a 9-minute AMRAP of a light barbell and a gymnastics movement.
Well, the big curveball was the fact that it was broken up into 2 parts, right? And then the fact that, Castro made the point of saying that, during training, most gyms do program strength up front. So you're accustomed doing strength up front and then doing your Metcon. Well, this was vice versa. So I know for me it definitely impacted how I approached the clean and jerk. My nervous system was a little bit wrecked when I got to that and had to do a couple light ones to get back in the groove.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious if you guys saw similar results.
Well, I was actually surprised at how many people PR'd their clean and jerk after the 9-minute AMRAP. Like you said, at our gym we do strength first, and then we do our Metcon. So a lot of people were freaking out about that. They were like, "Well, how's this gonna play out?" As you were saying. But yeah, a lot of people that I judged and saw at the gym, there was a lot of PRs, and I think all over the nation, really.
There really was. Probably for the elite of the elite, they're not tapping into their true maximum. I think based on all the metrics I saw, Rich was like 92% of his max. And then Frazier was like 87.5%, but he went for a big one. He missed it. In the live announcement, now they came back and went a little higher. But just like Ken said, there was a lot of people here that PR'd, and that was for our competitor team, and that was for our regular classes.
Were you expecting that? Because I wasn't. Right?
I definitely wasn't. What I would do is I had them, like for the competitor team, I would have them open up at about 65 to 70% of their max. And just like you said, the first one is just like kind of like, okay, we're changing gears here. We've been working hard for 9 minutes. Now we're gonna do, a different type of energy system is needed for this 1 rep max. So we gotta kind of acclimate our body to a heavy barbell landing on our chest and then moving it overhead. So the first one is just kind of like, let's just get this on the books as a good successful lift, and then move up from there. And you're still recovering. So we would have people take that attempt within about 90 seconds to about 2 minutes from finishing the AMRAP. You have to load the bar for whatever you're taking, and then just move up from there. But we had, now part of it is like we're very strength oriented here at SpartanFit, and we don't test 1 rep maximum lifts all the time. So if you haven't retested the clean and jerk max for say 6 months, then the chances are you really don't know what your 1 rep max is.
Right, exactly.
Let's say you tested 6 months ago and you hit 200 pounds. Then you're like, well, my 1 rep max is 200. Okay, we'll open up at 150, see how it feels, and then move up from there. And then they end up PRing and get 210 in the AMRAP. Well, chances are their real max is probably a little bit higher than that, and they PR'd because they haven't tested in so long.
Right.
And that's what it was the case for the competitors here, and that's what the case was for a lot of the regular class members. Is just because we don't do 1 rep maxes all the time.
Yeah, I asked a couple people about that, and they had stated that it had been months and months and months since they tested their max, especially for the clean and jerk. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, the season is an open season, so not like everybody was doing a ton of 1 rep weightlifting, max lifts and stuff. So
I like 51. Everybody at Tempe just thought it was a lot of fun. I think everybody there retested at least once, just because, like you said, it's a really light barbell and it's a toes to bar, and it all came down to the toes to bar. It depends if you had to do singles or you could string 5 to 10 together. You had a really good score then.
Yeah.
But everybody seemed to have a lot of fun with that, and who doesn't like going for a 1 rep max?
Yeah.
It was in my opinion, that was probably, and also we have a open announcement party every week in Tempe. I think that was probably one of the most exciting head-to-head competitions I've ever seen with Froning and.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point that you make, because we were just talking about how the workouts might be dictated around the matchup, because these workouts I'm sure have been pre-programmed months ago, and they've known the matchups for some time, and it's almost becoming to one of those things where the workouts are not designed for the open, they're designed for the matchup and to make for good TV.
Yeah,
right.
It was great TV.
The sponsors and everybody that's watching. It's not. it can't just be like, well, we want to get the best of the best into the regional. Like, no, it's Rich versus Matt, and then last week it was Emily Bridgers and Michelle Latondra, and then tonight it's going to be Lauren Brooks?
Yeah,
and Julie Fouché. So
but even for them, it came down to the toaster bar, really. I mean,
what's that? Oh, for
15-1.
Yeah, for Rich and Matt. Yeah, but I mean, they have to be looking at the matchups and designing the workouts around that, and they want to make something exciting. So you look online, you see all these predictions, and these people are talking, oh, it's going to be 7 minutes of burpees again. Like, that would be the most fucking boring live announcement. You're taking elite athletes and we're going to watch them do burpees. Like, no, that shit's
kind of funny though.
That shit's never coming up.
Hey guys,
again.
We flew you across the world. We're gonna have you do burpees.
Yeah.
At least you got a free meal out of us, right? We're paying for your hotel and your flight, so fucking do some burpees for us.
I agree with you, Ken. I think it was a really fun one for an affiliate to participate in, and what the nice thing about the max lifts is anybody can play, right. And you're not scaling, the workout. Yeah. You don't feel like you're scaling. You're going to try to PR your lift. And then you really don't play off of anybody else's scores. That's where you really focus on what you're capable of doing, and you've done that lift before, you've maxed it before. It's a workout you've done. I mean, you can call it a workout.
Sure.
And so that's why I think people get excited about it. They're like, oh, 1 rep max clean and jerk. Shit, we do this. This is a workout I've done.
Yeah, I mean, the only determining factor was, can you do toaster bars? Because the weights weren't that heavy. I mean, you had a light deadlift, a fairly light snatch. I mean, maybe the snatch would be a little heavy for some noobs, but, if you had decent toaster bars, you're going to get a decent score. You're going to be in the middle of the road somewhere.
Yeah, it was very tightly packed. I mean, especially for our competitors, it was like, you'd have somebody getting 5 rounds in 2 reps, 5 rounds in 5 reps, 5 rounds in 10 reps, 5 rounds in 12. I mean, there was everybody bunched up, and these are people that are widely spread on other workouts, but on this workout it was really close. So I think it was well designed, but it definitely brought a lot of problems to the table, as we talked about before we started the podcast. And one of them is I don't think they really thought, how is this going to affect the teams? It's very well designed for individuals because in the grand scheme of things, if you have one bad workout, or let's say you take a workout off, you sandbag, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be ranked so low because you did terrible in that one workout. But for the teams, it ended up being something different. So
yeah, because right after the 15-1, 15-1A, Castro said, I mean, if you want to sandbag the first workout, go ahead. But that's your prerogative. And then come a week later, people did it and got a really high clean and jerks because we had all these Olympic lifters. And then the next thing you know, he takes out their score, says it's no longer good.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It was about 3 days later. I mean, I remember seeing someone make that post, showing that clip of him saying, you can sandbag if you want. Right. Then 3 days later, they say, you can't sandbag. We're going to disqualify you if you do. Yeah. But that night, I actually texted a friend of mine, August Schmidt, East Valley CrossFit, and their team went to the games last year. And I said, how is this going to affect the teams? And right away, I mean, I clicked in right away. I'm like, well, I know that I'm not going to put up a top 3 score for our team on that AMRAP. I'm just not very good at gymnastics. We've got other people that are going to be doing better. But I'm one of the stronger athletes for the clean and jerk. So why would I kill myself on a 9-minute AMRAP if I'm not going to score for my team if I can help the team on 15.1A? So, I mean, I'm already thinking, okay, there's going to be, if I'm thinking it, everyone else is thinking it and doing it. And so I went online, tried to find the rules. There's no rules. I text August. He's like, I don't know. I didn't. He's like, And then the next day, you see these scores start dripping in with 405 clean and jerk, but they only did 1 rep.
Yeah, 30 reps on one.
Or 1 round.
Yeah, 15.1, 30.
Yeah.
15.1A,
so
160,000 pounds.
I mean, it helps if you have a gym deep of weightlifters and just, all of a sudden they're like, oh man, I guess I'll do the open. But
how does that scoring play into the team, right? So like if you did 1A and 1, right, did both your scores have to count for the team, or is it separate?
No, and that's what it is. They specifically said that these are 2 separate scored workouts.
Okay.
So, that begs, to the question is, why did they do it that way unless they weren't thinking about the teams?
Right.
Individually, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But teams, it does matter, and I've got some ideas for solutions, but it created this huge problem because all these teams started noticing that, this person's did a 370 clean and jerk, but they only did 1 rep, and you see these team scores start dripping in after 2-3 days. So if they're doing it, you're doing it.
Right. Well, that was the question I had for you earlier, right? So when you're putting your personnel together for your teams, right, and you're doing 15.1 and then you're doing 15.1A as a competitive team, right? So like you said, for example, that I'm not going to be top 3 gymnastics, but I'm going to be top 3 clean and jerk in my gym, right? So if you're going to be on the team, do both your scores have to count?
Yeah, no, and the answer is no to that. I think I know where you're going now.
Okay.
This is basically you just treat
so you can stack your team.
Yeah, I mean you could essentially qualify for regionals and then send 3 people that never scored for your team.
Yeah, that's on the jacked up side.
Yeah, I mean for us, the guys, we had 3 different guys score for 0.1, and then we had a different 3 guys score for 0.1A. It just happened to work out that way that our stronger guys didn't score, for the AMRAP, and vice versa. So because of course there are guys that are gymnastic beasts where they can just empty the tank nonstop, 9 minutes, and then put up a poor clean and jerk and just let the strong guys score for their team. And so it probably goes both ways, but probably more of the inverse, because like Ken mentioned, you have these Olympic weightlifters coming in, signing up for the Open when they have absolutely no intention of doing every other workout.
Well, that prize.
Yeah. Can't walk to the Coke machine without getting out of breath.
Yeah, like that photo, 9-minute rest.
Yeah, exactly. 15.1A begins in 9 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. 15.1 does not begin until clock reaches 9:01.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a pretty fucked up scoring system when you think about it.
Well, it is, and it's because, Castro wasn't thinking it through. He just wanted good. It goes back to he wanted good TV. With good TV, having Fraser.
What's wrong with good TV, man? You getting down on TV?
That's how you promote the product, but it also goes back to what was his motivations, and it was to have a good product on television.
270,000 signups. I think.
And he wasn't thinking about how this would affect teams, and if teams would sandbag the first one, and I guess he doesn't know the rules of his own product.
Well, I think that's a little bit dubious to think that these guys who are designing these programs and have pored over all this information and rule books and all this crap didn't consider the fact
it's
that
hard to believe.
It would be very difficult for me.
It is.
It's kind of like
$1 billion company now.
Yeah, I mean it's like Bill Clinton saying I did not have sexual relations with that woman, right? Like, come on, give me a break.
How could you not know?
How could you not know, right? Yeah. How could you not?
Well, it's possible. It's hard to believe, but it's possible. So I mean, I kind of have a similar experience in sport of strongman. Everything was always about the heavyweights. And the lightweights were an afterthought. And everything was designed around the big hitters.
Well, they pay the bills,
the
right?
Showstoppers. Yeah, everybody wants to see the 400-pound behemoths. Nobody gives a rat's ass about a 231-pound guy that's doing 50 pounds less on the log press or yoke walk or whatever it is.
Right.
And so, I mean, sometimes the lightweight guys would be like, well, what about for us? Like, oh yeah, that's right. You guys are doing this competition too, aren't you?
You guys are like the band at halftime.
Like, yeah, we're fucking here. Well, and I think people have always said that they don't care about the teams.
No, they don't.
But Rich Froning and Jason Khalipa supposedly are doing the teams this year.
Yeah,
so how can they not
think,
right? How is this going to affect overall placing for teams? And I mean, like, people were trying to come up with like, well, how could you solve this problem because they said you could sandbag. So then they went back on the word and said, well, if you do sandbag, it's not in the spirit of the games.
Yeah, right. It's not the
You're
intent.
supposed to give your full effort, which There's a huge gray area.
Should and have to are very different
conversations. Did
conversations.
the right thing by going back on his word? I mean, did you think he had to protect his the integrity of the games?
I don't have a problem with him. Personally, I don't have a problem with him going back on his word. But I think he needed to have some concrete rule in place where there's no gray area. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest problem.
I mean, what if you can't do toes to bar? And all of a sudden you're judging my intent. You're judging my intent on that.
Yeah, for teams. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Is that he's trying to tell you need to give full effort. Well, what the fuck does that mean?
Exactly. We believe in CrossFit is about measurable data. You can't measure intent.
Well, what I said was, okay, essentially, since it's a workout that starts with 9 minutes and then finishes a workout with 6, it's essentially a 15-minute workout.
Right.
So what you're telling me is that on this next workout, if it's a 15-minute workout, I need to put in full 100% effort for the first 9 minutes, and then I'm just going to see what the fuck happens in the last 6.
Right.
No, you pace.
Have to.
Right.
And you think Rich Froning and Matt Frazier went full effort for the first night? No.
Well, they were thinking about the clean and jerk.
Exactly. They didn't go full effort. They sandbagged. It might have been less sandbagging than one rep or one round, but their pacing is a part of CrossFit. I mean, if you're going to be a good CrossFit athlete, you have to pace.
Not me. I go red line for best score every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not by choice.
That's why
you're like me. You work out like me.
Yeah.
You don't redline by choice.
We'll see what happens.
It just happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, there could have been. I don't have a problem with going back on his word, but I think he needed to set some kind of actual definition of what sandbagging is, or not just leaving it full effort for someone to interpret, but either you specifically for the teams. For individuals, it doesn't matter, like we said. But for the teams, it could be a couple different ways. You could do reps plus weight. So that's one way to score it. So you combined the reps and the weight. So if you put up 210 reps and you clean and jerk 290, your score is 500. And then you just take the top 3 people, AMRAP plus reps plus weight, and those 2 people score for your team. Right. So you could do it. You could do it that way. Because I mean, I think that would be fair too. I mean, I'd have to look at somebody would have to look at the numbers and really calculate it. But I mean, the AMRAP really did come down to, I mean, at the top. I mean, it's 1 rep, and then 10 reps is 100 places. Because I know for one of our competitors here, he's like, man, if I had done half and more round, I would have moved up 300 spots in the individual. And then another one of our guys is, well, if I had done, if he had done 12 more pounds in the clean and jerk, he would have moved up 300 spots in the regional. Yeah. So from 267 to 278. So it really was really close for both workouts. So if you combine them, I think it still would have worked. Or I mean, come up with some kind of minimum work requirement. You have to do 3 rounds as far as scoring for the teams.
Sure.
So that way you at least you're working for an extended period of time, not just 1 minute and then resting for 8. Yeah. But there needed to be some kind of a concrete rule in place and not just leave it up to interpretation of what full effort is. Because like you said, I mean, how does he know that you're not giving full effort for 9 minutes to get your toes to bar?
My full effort is 1 toes to bar. So I can be swinging for 9 minutes, and if God loves me, I'll get 1.
Yeah. Well, I think actually what I have written in my notes here, looking back, is I thought about it. I think that actually the easiest solution, without having to, because after the announcement, you don't have a rule in place. The easiest solution would be, well, if you do 1 rep and you do 30 or 1 round or whatever, and you do your clean and jerk, that's fine. You're going to score for your team, whatever. However, if you don't complete every single other open workout, your scores are withdrawn from your team. So I know I won't name any individuals or teams out here in Arizona, but I know for a fact there are some teams at the top that had some of their weightlifters sign up for the open, do 1 rep or 1 round, and then do the clean and jerk. And I guarantee they're not doing any other fucking open workout except for this one.
Unless it's eating cupcakes.
So I mean, I don't. Yeah, if this was
that's my one.
If this was point 2, we wouldn't have that discussion because they wouldn't be signed up for the Open, and then now it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, I think really the only issue that I see with it, and the sandbagging thing, you know, whether or not you give your full effort, like you were saying, Ken, you know, effort's not measurable really. I mean, you know, who's to say if you're at 80% or 90% or 65% based on where you are as an individual? But at the end of the day, you know, if you want to solve the team problem, I think you have to score the members of that team throughout. I don't think you should be able to sub people in and out and you know, put someone's score in there, like you said, that's only going to do half the workout and none of the rest of them. Now all of a sudden you've got a team in the games, and the guy that helped get you there is watching from the sidelines.
Right.
That's horseshit. That creates moral hazard, and I think it creates a serious problem for the scoring.
I think this whole thing, on a bigger scale for me, just because I had no stake in the game, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just reading everybody's and talking to other CrossFitters from all the different boxes, and like, it kind of goes to the bigger picture, because now we're getting into the sport's getting so big that we're just the ethics of everything come into play.
Sure.
Like sandbagging or cheating or submitting false scores, and it's really sad for me that I never even thought that stuff happened until, you know, recently. I know I might be a little naive here, but you know, it's just, to me, that's just kind of sad, because to me, CrossFit is just all, you know, so pure, and it's, you know, giving your 100%. I've never really sandbagged a workout that I can think of. I give it 110% every time.
I think the problem is that it's you're confusing CrossFit with the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Right.
And so CrossFit is pure, right? But the CrossFit Games is sport, and in sport, people are always going to find a way to win. And that, whether that's sandbagging or, you know, recruiting people from other boxes, don't think that doesn't happen. We know it does.
Oh yeah. Sure.
You know, and all kinds of tactics to make sure that you guys, you know, your team gets to the next level and you get to regional, very competitive.
Sure.
You know, to get that game spot, and you know, we could dive into that topic and do a whole episode on it.
Totally.
But yeah, and I think that's what it is the confusion that between CrossFit as a, you know, form of functional fitness and lifestyle versus sport with the CrossFit Games.
We could definitely do a whole episode on, is, you know, CrossFit the sport ruining CrossFit.
Yeah.
It's actually just funny to me to seeing back, because I'm not going to name any names, but I'll get texts from somebody and be like, hey, did you see so-and-so score? There's no effing way that person got that. I've seen them do toes to bar. Yep. And like, I'm like, it's kind of almost silly to the point in a way for me. I'm like, all right.
It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I mean, if someone's cheating to get reps, you know, they're not going to win the CrossFit Games. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, really,
the best teams and best players are not cheating. Those are the ones that are at the games.
Exactly.
Why? Exactly. That's what's funny to me though. Why would you cheat on a score? Because it comes regionals. If you make regionals from a bad score, then you're gonna get exposed in front of everybody. It's not just at your gym.
Well, Ken, you know, one day when you have 24 hours in your day, we can talk about ego. How that comes into play. Right?
You can't you can't understand it because you don't think like they do. That's the problem. You know, those people, you realize that people that are doing that, those people don't either one, they don't qualify for regionals, they just miss the cut, or two, they qualify for regionals, but mysteriously they have an injury right before, right? And
just so they can tell people I qualified for regionals once.
Hey, it happens. I mean, I've been paying attention to this for a few years. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, I mean, there's a reason why they're doing videos now, requiring videos, because people put up scores that weren't believable. You know, if you beat Rich Froning on a workout, people are gonna be like, who the hell is this guy? Where did this guy come from?
Right.
Well,
let's see the video.
Yeah, no, prove it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm not going to regionals. I had to go to the hospital the week before.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it was. It took me out. I trained so hard this year. One little illness took me out for another year.
Maybe next year, man. Maybe next year. Next year's your year.
Next year's my year. No, I'm going for Masters 2060.
Oh yeah, that's your goal. 2060.
2060. I just
All
have to outlive everybody.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, guys.
Games win.
Right on.
I like it.
So there was 15-2.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was just 15-1?
No, we're just on 15-1.
Man.
Yeah. 15-2 was the repeat of 14-2. So that was overhead squat, chest to bar couplet, increasing rep ladder by 2, starting at 10s, and as every 3 minutes for as long as possible. So it's basically like a never-ending type of Fran. Depending on whether you like thrusters or overhead squats, it could be better or worse. With chest bar pull-ups being a little bit more difficult than regular pull-ups. So I think a lot of people, at least from what I've gathered, around the valley and just frequenting Facebook and talking to people in our box here at SpartanFit, people were kind of disappointed with this workout. The scaled version is pull-ups, and there's just a lot of people that are scaled that can't even do pull-ups. And so this kind of goes back to what we talked about in the last podcast. I mean, should you be competing unless if you can't do these movements? And a lot of people convince their members to sign up for the Open to pay the $20, and then week 2, right? Well, I can't overhead squat because I don't have mobility or a shoulder injury or whatever it is, or a previous shoulder injury, and then I can't do pull-ups. So it's like you just get a score of 0. And I know we had a couple. We had a couple people that couldn't do it. They had to 0.
But at least with toes to bar, you could do knee ups on the scale.
Well,
so
scale,
everybody who was scaled at least got to participate in the 15-1. A lot of people in my box were done with the Open after the second week, and they were really pissed off. They're like, "You told me to, it'd be fun because there's a scaled division." And I'm like,
well, it just comes down to purpose, though, right? I mean, like, none of these people who signed up really thought like they had a legitimate shot at going to regionals, right? It's about, do you want to see where you stack up, right? I think if it's like any product, if it's sold properly and the expectation is, hey, it's just to gauge, to get a baseline, to see where you're at, don't worry about your scores, that's a little bit different from someone feeling completely defeated because everybody in the gym was pressuring them and there was all this ego and bullshit going on, right?
Yeah, we didn't have any of that here. I didn't push the Open on anybody, and I don't think anybody was, too disappointed about the workout.
On anybody. I just said it would be fun if you did it.
Yeah,
you lied.
I didn't put a gun to anybody's head except for Michelle's. No, I didn't pressure anybody, but there were people disappointed, and I can understand. I mean, pull-ups are something that, especially if you're scaled, if you're doing bands or jumping pull-ups, and all of a sudden you're expected to do regular pull-ups, it can be disappointing for sure.
Well, it just comes back down to the whole idea behind it, right? Just be ready for anything.
Right.
I mean, really, we don't have a right to complain. It is what it is, right?
You don't.
And no one really should be.
Just scale to scale.
Yeah, but it begs the question, like, from this point forward, are we always going to see a repeat workout to gauge? Is this going to be the standard going forward? So next season, will people be practicing all 5 of these workouts in anticipation that one of them is going to be, one of 16 point whatever?
Yeah, I mean, Dave Castro's always said he likes repeating workouts. I think he said it back when they repeated the 2011 Games workout. If you go back and you look at some of the workouts they've done at Games and Regionals, they repeat them on CrossFit.com. They repeat them in Regionals events. They've repeated them in the Open. So I think they're always going to come back and do repeat workouts. So this is third year in a row. Yeah,
it's really cool to be at the scale that they're at right now, where they had 209,000 people do this workout last year. This year they've got 270 or 90,000 doing it this year.
Yeah.
When you have a sample size that large, and you're a science data junkie, and you want to look and see how people did perform, I mean, that's a hell of a way to do it.
It's basically proof.
Exactly.
That CrossFit works.
Yeah.
And I think the statistic that I saw was 80% of people that did 14.2 as RX and then did it this year as RX improved. So 80% improved that did the workout again. Wow. And one person that didn't improve is Julie Fouché. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So Julie Fouché is competing tonight. Actually posted that she didn't improve.
Did Camille?
Didn't she take time off, though?
Camille improved. She
was pursuing
she was
an
there last
education,
year
right?
though. She was at the games last year.
Right,
So
right.
she didn't take time off from last year. It was the year before.
Okay, year before. Okay.
Yeah, but she didn't improve. And she said her hands tore way earlier than the last time she did the workout last year.
Mm-hmm.
And but there was 1% that didn't improve, but for an overwhelming percentage did improve. And like you said, it's a good way to have those hard, numbers that show that CrossFit is working. People are getting more fit. We're doing the same workout a year later, and here everybody is getting better.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find like a good scientific study that has a sample size that large.
Yeah.
Right. So just the sheer fact that they've got enough, marketing and boxes and interest to bring that many people in and do this sort of test speaks volumes for where it's at. I mean, you can't argue with the results, and that's really what people are paying for.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like the best thing about one of the things that they tell us right away about it is it's measurable data. You can actually track your improvement over the years. Mm-hmm. And this is proof. The proof's in the pudding. Everybody I know, like Scott was saying, everybody got PRs on this one, and by a lot. I know most of my friends who RX last year got 50 to 80 more reps this year.
But I wonder, this is funny. We talk about improvement. And the fact that 15.2 was a repeat workout, I wonder how much improvement played into the fact that there was less anxiety going into the workout. I mean, I was in here when the competitors were going, and everybody was just so fucking like, just fucking, foaming at the mouth, breathing, like trying to stay calm, and you could tell they were bubbling over. Mm-hmm. And I know that this happened, and in every box everywhere. It just and I see it happen. People just do normal workouts, right? Mm. But once they've done it, right? Once they've done it, and once you've gotten through it, and you've felt it, and you've been there, it's not so scary. It's not something to be so anxious about. It's just like, all right, well, fuck, I already know how it feels. I just need to do more than I did last year. I don't have to worry about the mental aspect of it, which is a huge component. I think people tend to ignore that.
That's a very good point. Yeah, because if you ever do any workout for the second time, you usually improve by at least a couple seconds or a couple reps.
Yeah,
because like you said, you already know how it fucking feels.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's most people out there, especially that are competing for a top spot, are doing the workout 2, 3, some people 4 times. Mm-hmm. And especially the second time, you do have a little bit more comfort knowing how it's going to feel, And we had one guy here that did it on Friday, did like 130 reps, and then did it again on Sunday and got 194. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, what the hell did you do the first time? What were you doing?
Yeah,
the strategy was way different.
The mindset was just way off.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. I mean,
mindset.
You didn't improve physically in the span.
Yeah, you didn't get more. You didn't get 60 reps more fit.
Exactly.
In 2 days.
Right.
And this is one of those a different type of workout where you've got to complete the repetitions in a certain time period to get into the next round. And if you do get into the next round, you're going to accumulate 20, 30, 40 more reps just because you got into that next round. And you may have only got into it by 1 or 2 reps.
Sure.
Right? Maybe last year you missed it and you're just on the verge of getting to that next round. You missed it, but then this year you got in, you had 10 seconds left, and then so you get into that next round. So of course you're going to get 20, 30, 40 more reps because you had that time window.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, like a lot of times when I'll repeat workouts, and I've seen this with people that I know work with high-level athletes, the first time they do an activity, the picture in the mind is an unknown. It's a big question mark. Mm-hmm. And everyone struggles to put that picture in their mind of what they want to create, but they're uncertain of their skill set. So then you go through it the first time, right? And then like you said, right, you miss the 3rd or 4th round or 5th round by a couple reps, right? But this time you go through, and in your mind, you can see yourself getting the extra reps, right? So you have that less anxiety piece. You have a clearer picture about what you want to create, and your body will naturally respond. And I think they do a lot of work with that with SealFit, from what I understand.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I was talking to a strength and conditioning coach once, and he said before you even try to back squat 405, you should just put 405 on your back. Just walk off the rack with it like 3 times just to know how that feels on your back. Mm-hmm. And then, just build up to that. because your mind does play a lot into how you treat a lift or a workout or anything like that. So I think there is something to that.
Well, there definitely is. There's a lot of research around it. There's been some research that supports the idea that the fact that you go through, if you're able to visualize specific movements or specific skill sets like basketball or team sports or even lifting to a degree, but if you're able to visualize specifically what that is that you want to create, it actually starts to create the motor skill whether or not you actually physically did it or not, because your mind made it real. Right? It's like your mind makes it real.
It doesn't work for everything though, because I've retested that deadlift box jump fucking one like 5 times, and I get the exact same score every damn time.
Which one's that?
Last year's 13 or
14-3.
Yeah.
You were crazy enough to redo that?
I love that one. I want to get out of the 13 or the 315 deadlifts.
Yeah.
That's my goal, but I usually only get a couple into the 315.
Yeah.
That was a fun workout, actually. I like that workout.
So it's just weird. Like some workouts I improve a lot, and then there's others where I don't get any improvement.
Yeah, I mean, you can't improve past your physical limitations unless you're working those, right?
I don't have any physical
You don't, really?
No. What are those? Weaknesses?
I guess. I can show you. Just watch me work out.
I think that kind of maybe leads us into what we're going to talk about next, which was continual improvement,
peaking,
plateauing, however you want to talk about it in terms of CrossFit. From what I've seen is basically the person that signs up, and this will hit home for some of you that are kind of new to CrossFit, signs up for CrossFit. Maybe you come from a different background or you haven't done a lot of fitness recently, and so a lot of this stuff is going to be new to you. The first month is kind of like the oh shit month. Like you're constantly sore, you've never had this level of soreness, pain, intensity before, and a lot of people can get burned out just from that first month. And then it's kind of if you can get through that first month, second month, get past that, then you're going to start seeing those results. And then when those results start coming, and this kind of applies to just general too, if you're training people just for general fitness.
Sure.
You get past those first couple of months, you start seeing results. That's obviously going to be a big motivator to keep coming back, and then set some goals. And the beginner is going to be progressing so quickly, and improving their lifts, improving their benchmarks. You retest a benchmark 3 months later, you shave 30 seconds. You test it again 3 months later, you shave another 30 seconds. Well, it can't go on forever.
Right.
So, one thing to talk about is, what do you do when you plateau, and, how do you get past these plateaus and peaking? And for some people, ego is a big thing, because they feel like they can, if they keep working at it, they can go to regionals or the games.
Sure.
But I know Ken had some thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, no, it's just something that I've been talking to a lot of people about, because I think it starts because CrossFit attracts 2 different types of people. People who are athletes, like for their whole life, like Scott. And it also attracts people who are, transforming their lives like me, who used to be really, really out of shape. And either one, so for my case, I had never done these things before. So the first time I did Grace, it was 12 minutes. The next time I did it, it was 8. That's a huge 4-minute improvement. But now I'm to the point where I'm lucky if I get 1 second improvement every time I do it. And it's just frustrating. You're like, what am I doing wrong? And so it's tempting to just destroy yourself by doing 3 hours of working out. Or I have athletes coming in during open gym and they're back squatting, even though we just back squatted the day before, because they think that if they just keep doing these things and destroying their body and breaking it down, then they'll get that PR. And I have to pull them aside and know, you're actually doing the opposite. You're breaking your body down to the point where you're going to get worse results. So it's just one of those things where it's you got to manage your athlete's expectations and your own expectations. And sometimes you have to have that uncomfortable conversation with yourself and just be like, you might have peaked. And then who knows? I might be wrong. You know, I could have a huge improvement like the next time I do it, because I remember my 1 year mark. I could not get a PR for 6 months, and then 6 months came, and I just PR'd everything again, and then I hit a wall again at 2 years, and then so it's just kind of, I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys can enlighten me, but you just keep getting these plateaus and hitting walls, and it's just a really frustrating thing for a lot of us CrossFitters.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's going to peak at some point in their fitness journey on benchmarks, lifts, whatever it is. There's going to be a ceiling, you know. And then what happens is you have to get more intelligent with your training. You can't just keep doing what you've been doing and then expecting a different result. So you really need to analyze. Really, it's not just what you're doing in the gym 1 hour a day, whatever it is, however long you're in there, for 5 days a week, and you start analyzing all the other factors. What stresses do you have in your life? You know, what responsibilities do you have on your plate now that you didn't have 6 months ago? How much sleep are you getting every night? What are you eating? Are you eating enough? Are you eating, too much? What types of foods are you eating? Are you hydrating enough? And there's all these other factors. So you have to be smart with what you're doing. And in the beginning, when you're a beginner, you're starting out in CrossFit, you can do whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do. You can eat junk food, you can not sleep, and just show up to the CrossFit class, and you're going to get better. You're going to get improvements. You're going to have huge improvements like you did, a 4-minute grace PR. And it's just going to keep going. It feels good. You just like, man, let's keep doing this and keep getting better. And then you hit that peak where you plateau, and maybe you do worse on a workout, and you're like, man, what am I doing wrong? What should I be doing? But I think that's just a part of the game, and you have to really look at all the factors, and you have to change how you train. Probably not a good idea to be doing benchmarks all the time. I follow a lot of different blogs out there. One of the ones I follow is OPEX, formerly OPT, and it talks about, like, when you're a beginner CrossFitter, you just CrossFit. That's all you have to do. I mean, if you're just training for lifestyle, just do CrossFit. You're gonna get better at. But when you start getting towards, the athlete side of things, you can't just do CrossFit anymore. You have to train differently. You have to train like a CrossFit athlete, and that's not just doing the WOD, or it's not just doing. I'm going to do a strength, and then I'm going to do a gymnastics movement, and then I'm going to do a benchmark. That's not how those top athletes are training. They're not doing the WOD on CrossFit.com, main site. That's not what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, so it just comes back down to purpose, right? I mean, if you're going to be that competitor, and obviously it's kind of cool if you are a competitor, because you can look and see amongst other competitors in your group and see what the highest benchmark is, and you can see what's possible. This is what's been set humanly possible so far. If you're just, a recreational CrossFitter, you just want to look good naked like most people, it might be a little bit more difficult. You compare yourself to other people in your class, but you don't really get to compare yourself to people all over the world all the time, right? So you don't really know what that is for you. But what Scott says, I mean, you're going to peak at some point, because, if you're lucky enough to get old, you're going to peak. I mean, you're not going to be able to do a sub 3-minute Fran when you're 70, most likely, unless you got bionic parts installed at some point, which who knows, might happen, right? But I mean, there will be some limits, but what those limits are, I mean, who knows what they'll be.
Well, it's funny because, like, when we do have an athlete come in, like, the first thing they always tell you, I don't know if Scott has this, where they're like, oh, well, I'm going to go regionals next year. Like, every single person that walks
I have it, yeah.
When they catch the bug, when they drink the Kool-Aid, all of a sudden they're going to be a regional athlete.
Yeah.
And they want you to not only, they want to not only do the WOD, but they also want you to start programming more stuff. And I'm like, you're 3 months in. Why don't you get good at the regular workout, and then we'll go from there.
No, man, I'm good. I work in an office all day.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Another thing that's like he was saying is like, they come to you and they're like, they want to get better, but they only have that 1 hour a day.
Yeah, exactly.
The people who are going to games, they have an entire day to spread out workouts, and
Yep.
How much does Froning train? Like 5 to 6 hours a day?
Yeah, I mean, who really knows? But Rich, they'll let you believe whatever. He's doing 7 WODs a day, which I really don't. He'd think he's doing that. Matt Frazier says he only works out an hour and a half a day. Mm-hmm. That's what he says he does because he's like an engineer. I forget what he does, but he has a full-time job. But most of the games athletes, they don't. Everything is set up in their life to allow them to focus on the number one priority, which is going to the games. Mm-hmm. So that's family, that's jobs, that's sleep, that's diet, that's recovery. Everything is driven around going back to CrossFit games.
Exactly.
Your general person, even the low-level regional athletes probably don't have all those things set up in their life to allow them to focus on their training and everything that goes into that. They have kids at home and they have to work 40 hours a week. And they don't always get 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Sometimes they miss a meal. They go out and socialize with their friends. I mean, people don't understand what it takes for an elite level athlete to get to that point. Mm-hmm. All they see is the result.
Right.
They don't see all the work that was put in to get there, the sacrifices that have been made. These guys they're not going out and having a beer. On a Friday night and a Saturday night,
Right.
They're getting up at 5 a.m. and they're done more work than you and I have for the whole day by 6.
Right. Yeah, and it's not just them; it's the people in their lives as well. And if you understand, like systems theory or systems thought, everything that we do produces a result, right? So if you're at a point right now where your grace time isn't improving, then whatever system you've set up to support that time is going to always produce that time, right? So the only thing to change that is to change something within the system that produces that. Whether it is like what Scott was saying, whether it's sleep, diet, whether it's your weight, whether it was.
Hey, why are you looking at me right when you said weight?
It could be something as simple as time of day. I mean, different people cycle their energy differently during the time of day. Unless all things are equal, you're never really going to know.
That's a really good point. As I listen to you guys talk, I think about it, and when I was having my big improvement, CrossFit was my life. I was doing 2 or 3 workouts a day, and then just because I was, didn't have a life, I told my friends I'm not interested in drinking beer or eating pizza, and I'd just go to the gym all the time. Nowadays, I'm not.
You lost all your friends?
I did. I was the guy who lost all of his friends because of CrossFit. I drank that feeling. But
how come they never showed that commercial?
Yeah, CrossFit should come out of the commercial like that. You will lose your friends. All my friends they unfriended me on Facebook. They're like, I cannot stand one more post about your goddamn workout.
I know, right?
I was like,
Loose Snatch PR. Yeah. Hashtag CrossFit. Hashtag.
I was scrolling through my news feed the other day, and I'm like, every single news feed was somebody snatching or clean and jerking, and I'm like, oh my god. I had that moment where I'm like, I'm that annoying CrossFitter.
I'm that guy.
I am that guy.
Oh man.
And I was gonna post. I actually did post something about how it was my first workout since I got injured, and how great I feel. And as I'm posting, I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy posting about his WOD again.
Yeah. You guys ever see that Tosh.0 show?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh man. He totally brutalized that. You remember that OPT?
OC
Throwdown workout.
Talked about it.
Where they had those hurdles, right?
Yeah, we talked about that in the last episode, right?
Breaking their...
Yeah, that was the dumbest workout.
Oh man, he totally brutalized that. He's like, it'd be safer not to work out at all.
It's true. You're safer at home.
He's like, now all we need to do is get all the other cults to stop posting stuff on Facebook, like atheist vegans, and he just run down the list. So funny, man.
Oh god, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to my point. Fast forward 2 years, I actually have a social life, and I go out with my friends, and I have the beer. So I guess now looking back on it, I can kind of see.
You trade it up, really.
And I'm running a business now, so I'm getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a day.
It's priorities, man. It's about priorities and just acceptance, I guess. I mean, I've same journey, as you, but a little different story. But I mean, same thing. I mean, when we first started, it was like, man, I'm getting in shape, I'm PR and everything. I mean, I'll use Grace for an example. I think I've done the workout Grace 4 times. First time was like 3.5 minutes. The second time I got 150. Third time I got 130, and then the fourth time I got 125.
I hate you.
So, but like I know, I can tell you right now that if I was to go suit up and warm up and get ready and do Grace right now, I'm not going to PR.
Yeah.
I totally know that. There's no way. I mean, same thing on my Isabel. I'm nowhere near a 125 Grace right now. I can go under 2. I'm comfortable saying I'll go under 2, but I don't have it. There's no way. I'm not training the same way that I was then. And you just have to get that point of acceptance and go, I've got so many other things going on right now that I have other priorities, and my ego isn't driving me to just get better at CrossFit and PR this lift. And it doesn't say I don't have goals, but it may take me a lot longer to get to the end goal.
Sure.
Since I have all these other things in my life going on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, you can't you're not going to be able to run a successful business and be a successful CrossFitter. I mean, like, Rich Froning isn't doing the day-to-day mundane stuff at CrossFit Mayhem, right? He's got somebody doing that for him. You know what I mean?
Claims that he's very hands-on with his.
He may be, right?
He has a multi-million-dollar business, though.
Yeah.
And that's more than one guy.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have employees doing the lion's share of the work, right? They're there as more of a figurehead to draw people. I mean, that they're the greatest advertisement for their own business.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've been stuck at 214 for Grace for forever. It's been almost a year now.
It's a pretty good time, though.
It's
a
lot
of people would be pretty happy with a 214.
I was happy when I got under 4 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
You can do toes to bar, probably. So.
I can do toes to bar, yeah. Grass is always greener.
Yeah. It's the only thing I can justify. I'm like, if I could get sub 2, I'd be like, well, I can't do toes to bar, but I can at least get sub 2 Grace.
All right, well, now that we didn't solve anybody's problems, anybody have predictions for tonight at 15.3?
15.3.
Hold on. I would like to first say that we were really accurate.
We were.
First week, because he called toes to bar and snatches.
I said snatches and toes to bar, or I did say clean and jerk toes to bar with like an ascending clean and jerk, so something like heavy. And then what did you say, Ken?
I said heavy clean and jerk.
Heavy clean and jerk.
All
we put that together, we came out with 15.1 and 0.1A.
Okay.
So I actually think Cash will listen to our podcast and he stole it.
I think it might have actually been posted after the release, but
listen, those are details I don't need.
Maybe he's bugged the office.
Yeah.
Well, you guys can't see it, but I'm patting both these guys on the back right now. They were really close, and I was 100% right. I said it would be tiring and sweaty.
You did. You actually were the most accurate because we didn't call the rep scheme. Right?
You must have a crystal ball.
I know, right? I'm so smart.
Except for some people that sandbagged 0.1, they didn't get tired.
Oh, didn't even break a sweat. Yeah, that's right.
You were wrong too.
Yeah, I was wrong about that. I was only half right.
Yeah, you were half right. You don't really get too tired and sweaty on a max clean and jerk.
No, not really. No.
I do.
Jesus
I get
Christ.
sweaty during warm up.
Well, those
What do
fat
you
guys,
got? What do you got for us, Ken? What are you thinking? What do you think they're gonna do? Let's hear it. We'll come up with a formula for.
All right. So the last video he released, he did he was shooting 9 ball. So I'm calling 9-minute AMRAP of wall balls.
Are we basing this on social media posts now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Shit, all science out the window?
I'm basing it off of what's already been used.
Okay.
And Castro. But he also posted a picture of a jump rope. And the jump rope and the pistols were on a box. So there's a lot of people predicting pistols, double unders, and box jumps.
I think he just took his pistols to the box that day, personally.
So
I'm betting on the bait and switch.
Well, he last year he did that when he did the chipper. He had that little leak, and he stayed true to his word. I mean, obviously I think there's some hinting, but it's obviously just mostly to get people to comment on their Instagram.
There is some judicial precedent.
Yeah, a little clickbait or whatever you call it. But
if you want to go back to the formula though of basing it on the athletes that are going to
yes, I was just going to say that.
They're both known for having really good engines and being good at chippers. So
and he said start your engine.
Start your engine. So I could definitely see it being a chipper of double unders and wall balls. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, yeah, I think the double unders is a safe bet. The sponsor for the workout is actually makes jump ropes. I think it's RX jump ropes. Mm-hmm. So you know there's going to be double unders. You know that's coming. Wall ball shots is kind of what I was thinking with the pistols. I don't think pistols are going to be in the workout. So I for sure think double unders are coming up tonight. I think wall balls are coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if you had box jumps in there. I think it's going to be a long workout. Start your engines, and I think it's going to be, this is my guess, a 22-minute AMRAP. And it's going to be brutal. Everyone's thinking 22 pistol is 20. They keep using 22. Right. I think it's going to be a long fucking workout, and it's going to be an engine-type workout. I don't think there's going to be a 0.3A. I wish there was, with a heavy barbell and a 0.3A or something like a 3-rep max dead. Oh, God. Or a 5-rep max dead.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Lauren Brooks did that little promo where she hinted at 3A.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. She said, we're going to be demoing 3 and 3A. That's what she said.
What was this on?
It was a Killcliff promo.
So now you got me second guessing myself.
Look how happy
I'm throwing you all off, man.
You just made Scott happy. If you guys can
He's like, it's going to be deadlifts, man.
He's starting to warm up right now.
Yeah, I was like, Well, Lauren Brooks is a beast, and she is strong. So, I mean, I kind of thought there might be like a heavy bar in there if there was going to be a 0.3A. But I could also see they're mixing in like a heavy bar in a 22-minute AMRAP. I think Dan Pila actually sent me a text, and he had a pretty good guess, and his guess was with a 9 ball being used, an ascending rep ladder of 1 to 9, while completing a certain amount of wall balls, a certain amount of double unders, a certain amount of say box jumps, and he said 405 deadlift. So you do whatever 50 double unders, 22 wall balls, and then 1 deadlift. And you go through it again, 2 deadlifts. Go through it again, 3 deadlifts. So, but my guess personally, I think it's going to be a 22-minute workout. I think there's going to be a heavy barbell mixed in there, whether it be a deadlift or I'm leaning more towards like a hang power clean or a hang power snatch. And then, and like you said, Ken, I think wall balls and some double unders will be in there somewhere. But man, I don't know. Everyone's guessing all these crazy things, and
but you definitely don't think it's pistols.
I don't think it's pistols. No.
A lot of people are predicting pistols.
No, it's not going to be pistols.
I wouldn't be surprised to see pistols, but I mean, it is sort of. I think pistols are almost as difficult for most people as muscle ups.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of crazy to have that this early in the opens, but it's third workout. But I think it's going to be a 2-parter for sure, and I would love to see. I think there will be a heavy barbell, and I'm hoping it's deadlifts. I think the third workout a couple years ago was that. Or last year, was it last year that was the deadlifts, the third workout?
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if that holds true. And then I think the 22 has to do with the rep scheme. I'm not sure about the timing, but we'll see.
We definitely likes to put deadlifts and box jumps together. So.
Yeah, that's true. They've done that a lot.
Yeah, so we'll see about that.
Yeah, no, I will be very shocked if there's pistols in there for simply the reason that
they suck.
Well, they do suck, but it's almost impossible to be able to film pistols from both sides. So if you're somebody that's performing your workout and you're not an affiliate with a registered judge, you have to use a camera, and your camera is stationary, so you can't get both sides. You can get your right leg, but then you won't get your left. So it's going to be impossible to see the depth of a pistol. So I don't think pistols are coming. I'd say I'm 99% sure they're not going to be on there, but
cool.
We'll see.
We will see. What time is the announcement?
We got 5 p.m. our time.
So about an hour and 45 minutes. So with that, you guys have anything to add, or should we go ahead and wrap it up?
I'll say good luck on 15-3, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Good luck tonight. Be sure and like us and follow us up on social media, Dogs of WOD, on Facebook and YouTube. And be sure and check out SpartanFit CrossFit if you're in North Phoenix, CrossFit Tempe if you're down in Tempe, and Hardwater for your athletic needs. And we'll check you out next time.
Good luck, guys.
That's part of our one.